Today we're going to be taking a look at the Mini Tracker by Tops Knives. This is a smallest version that I know about of the tracker knife, designed by Tom Brown. There's a lot of other manufacturers and companies making their own version of the tracker knife, and there's also different sizes, a big, medium, and small versions of this knife, this being the smallest version of the knife. This was designed as a survival tool by a survival expert. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at this tracker knife. Alright, so we're going to take a close-up look at this new knife. It comes with a taco style Kydex sheath, and it comes equipped for scout carry, belt carry, classic Tops J style hook. These are Torx bolts, so you can take these off and you could run like an ulti clip or switch it around if you like. Fits in there nice and good, no rattle, no shake. Has a nice click. No complaints there, good quality sheath, good quality clip. And you take a look at the knife. Tom Brown tracker, made in the USA, Tops. Tops knives are made in Idaho. And what we have here is a mini tracker knife. This knife was designed as a survival tool by Tom Brown. And the original knife, the big version of this knife, was to be a implement with multifunctional, like kind of like a multi-tool. You've got this sweeping belly right here, and then you've got this sort of transition which creates this hook-like blade here, and then you have a straight edge right here, and then you have notches on the back for kind of like a saw. I purchased this knife, I wasn't thinking survival tool. Sure, I thought maybe it could do some stuff. You could throw this in like a tin can survival kit, or have it in a really small survival bag or something like that, and probably have an okay tool. But for me, this was more of a novelty item. It's a shrunken down miniature version of a survival tool, and I just kind of thought of it as like an EDC knife, just a really cool EDC fixed blade knife novelty that you could use just for everyday carry tasks and have just a really cool knife on you. A cool looking knife, kind of a talking piece. Like, people are going to be really interested in this blade and ask questions about it, and it just looks cool. So today we're going to show you guys what it is capable of and how well it performs. So first, let's take a look at this kind of like saw on the back. So it's not the smoothest cutting thing out there. It's a little rough. It takes a little work to get started, but it does work, and it does make notches. Where's my other notch at? Oh. Another thing to note right off the bat is that this handle is super tiny, which is kind of a real bummer, because if they would have just extended this handle out another inch or more, this would be a lot more usable tool than it is, and that's going to hinder this thing's ability to perform a lot of tasks for carving and hard work. And I get they probably wanted this to stay small. I think when they created this, it was intended to be more of a novelty EDC knife, and I think that's why they put the short handle on there, was just for carryability. But In the long run, I think they should have made it a little longer just to make it more usable as a tool. So that's kind of unfortunate. It is what it is, but let's move on. Now the big tracker is meant to chop, and this portion is supposed to be the portion that makes contact with the wood, and it's supposed to be like a hatchet. And of course you're not going to chop with this, but that end would be good for skinning, I believe. Skinning and processing game, I think, would be a win for this knife. How small it is and easy it is to put in your hand, you get a lot of control over this, and you've got a long continuous belly here. And another unfortunate design choice with this knife is the super thick geometry. They should have made this grind a lot thinner, and it is so thick, and it really suffers cutting through man-made materials and doing EDC tasks because of this super thick geometry. It is so thick behind the edge that it's going to suffer slicing through materials greatly. So can this thing carve? The big tracker was intended to be able to use as a draw knife. You can grab the back of the blade like this and use that straight edge and pull towards you and use like a draw knife. While you can absolutely do this with this knife, you're going to be completely limited to the size of the piece of wood that you're cutting. And push cuts. You just have a small area to work with before you encounter this here hook. But let's see how it does on some rolling cuts. So because of the shape of this top part of the blade, it can do rolling cuts. It actually doesn't do too bad of a job at rolling cuts. Just another flaw with the design of this knife is you don't have a lot of comfortable positions to carve. As you're carving, you're putting your thumb on this sharp jagged saw back, which is not comfortable, or you're down here, which is doable, but you just don't have a lot of options for grips with this thing. But notches and V-cuts and rolling cuts are actually not too bad, and they're definitely doable with this knife. And being a huge thick wedge of steel, this thing will definitely be able to take a beating, and you would definitely be able to pry some stuff with this. You could definitely carve a tri-stick with this knife. I don't think you would have any issues carving a tri-stick with this knife, other than the uncomfortable nature of this handle and the uncomfortable nature of this knife in general, and the short handle are just going to make carving the tri-stick and everything on the tri-stick just uncomfortable. But that being said, it can do it, and it can do it pretty decent actually. It's just not the most comfortable knife to carve with. Since we're over here on the table, let's try doing some drilling with the tip. This piece of wood sucks. Hold on. Let's move over here. There's a little better light. Not a lot of cutting power coming out of this knife. it can drill a hole. It's just kind of tearing the grain in certain areas, but it's definitely capable of doing it. So let's do a little batoning, and then do some curls and see how it starts the fire. Doesn't do a terrible job. Actually, does pretty decent. But not bad, not bad. So here we go. We're pretty much maxed out here on this piece of wood. That's probably the biggest piece of wood you're going to be able to baton with this. If you're buying this for a survival kit, like an Altoids can survival kit or tin can survival kit, you're going to need it to do this. And it does it quite well. The thick geometry splits the wood, and it's just really robust. So you're not going to have any problems batoning anything that you throw at this that's within its size range. Let's get some of those gorgeous curls that the tracker knife is famous for, and we'll see if we can get them to light with the ferro rod. So use that hook like so, and you drag and pull it. There's a little knot here and it's interrupting my curl. You can see the curls it makes are quite good. It makes these real distinct squiggly feather sticks or curls. Look what it does to the fire steel. It just annihilates it. It's kind of sporadic with how it shoots the sparks. Let's see if this mini tracker can do some EDC stuff. Some cardboard. This thing has really thick geometry. The little hook portion of this knife would make a great little box opener, package opener. That really just tears into the cardboard or whatever it is that you're trying to cut. Pretty good. The straight part whizzes right through cardboard, and this round part, I mean, it'll cut through cardboard, but just due to the round geometry of it, it wants to roll off. But not bad for cutting open cardboard. It is really thick geometry, so it's definitely not going to slice through cardboard like a PM2 is. Some survivor cord. Busts right through that. Ooh. Bump the camera there. Goes through survivor cord quite easy. We got some battle cord here. Pretty effective on a flat surface. You want to cut some little plastic pieces. Not bad. You need to redo a fuel line on your weed whacker. Got some zip ties here. I have a feeling this thing will struggle a little bit through zip ties. Definitely going to skip the food prep. I think you can pretty much imagine how this thing will do for food prep. It's probably going to be terrible for it. Possibly a good spreader knife. Alrighty guys, that's going to wrap it up for the Tom Brown mini tracker. Actually did a lot better for EDC tasks than I thought, and it can actually surprise you in woodscraft and those kinds of tasks as well. It actually performs. You can carve with it, notch with it, feather stick with it. You can scrape a fire steel with those gnarly teeth. Makes great notches, and has no problem slicing through EDC tasks, you know. Just a little bit more friction because of the thick geometry, but as long as you have it nice and sharp, it'll perform just fine. It batons and all that good stuff. It's just really lacking in the ergonomics department because of this super short handle. I mean, it feels comfortable at first when you get it in your hand, but once you start really working with this knife, you notice real quick, and you realize real quick how uncomfortable this knife really is in use. But if you're just holding it, it feels pretty good in the hand. I can only get 3 fingers on this thing. So kind of just a novelty, I believe. Just a cool looking knife meant for EDC tasks that can do a lot of the things that the large tracker can do. It's a pretty capable knife if you know what you're doing. And if you had this knife and you were lost in the woods, you could do all the stuff you need to do. You could get a fire going. You could do the feather sticks, you could baton through some wood, you could saw some small pieces of wood if you needed to, make the notches, carve the notches, do all that good stuff. So it is a capable knife, but it is just really small and uncomfortable and kind of unconventional. I mean, the large tracker is unconventional as it is, and you kind of got to know how to use it. This thing's it's definitely different. I bought it just because I thought it was cool. I like the shape. I wanted it as an EDC blade, and it'll do all those things for you just fine. Just note that this thing's a tank. It's super thick, and the thickness behind the edge is just crazy thick. They really should have thinned this thing out a little bit, in my opinion. If they were going to make a little tracker for EDC, they should have definitely thinned up a lot behind the edge, and that would make this a lot more EDC friendly, in my opinion. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the Tom Brown mini tracker. Let me know if you guys have a tracker, what your favorite size of tracker is, and if you would throw this in a survival kit. Alrighty, we'll see you on the next one.